Now that we have the unit out of the box and ready to go, we'll cover an operational overview for the software. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll always have available refrigerant. This is not total refrigerant, but instead available refrigerant for use in servicing a vehicle. On the right side of the menu bar here, we have the tank pressure of the internal tank. Here's the status section in the lower right-hand corner here. You have usable refrigerant. This will tell you whether or not you have enough usable refrigerant to do a service. Same thing with filter life remaining of the internal filter. A new filter is either 150 or 200 pounds, depending on model. And vacuum oil life remaining, where these units have up to 1,000 hours of vacuum life available. The status of the unit is always presented at the top of the screen. Unit status right now is green and it's ready to use. And note that each one of these individual elements are also green and ready to use. If at any time you become low on usable refrigerant, or your filter life remaining is becoming low, or your vacuum oil life remaining is becoming low, these will turn from green to yellow, indicating that service is coming soon, or if it's red, that service is required for the unit to do services on vehicle. Here are quick select buttons for automatic and manual modes for the operation during service. These are also selectable elements, so if you have a need for adding additional refrigerant because this is becoming low, you can quick select from this button here. Along the bottom is a unit of measure where you can change the unit of measure on the screen. This icon will give you the ability to connect your cell phone to the unit. This is a feature that's coming soon. On the right side here is a user manual that's available for learning more about the unit. On the left side is the home navigation button. This allows you to get back to the home screen that you see here at any given time. And here you have a menu button that allows you to get to the different functions in the unit. In the upper right-hand corner of the home screen, you have your Wi-Fi indicator. This indicates connection and signal strength. On the left side, under the unit picture, you have the branding, the model name, the refrigerant type, the unit, a version of software that's running currently, and your serial number for service purposes. In the menu structure, you'll see you have setup, maintenance, special functions, manual, automatic, and vehicle selection. In setup, this allows you to select different Wi-Fi networks. You can also set up printing from here. For more information on printing, select how to print on the screen. This is your software update function. This runs off the upper right-hand corner to check for software updates at any given time. It also happens automatically. Here you can adjust your brightness settings. This gives you all your maintenance counters. Unit of measure can be changed and selected also from the setup. The shop account information allows you to input information into the unit about where your location is and other relative information that we can use for tracking and warranty purposes. The email address that's put into this screen also runs the print to email function during the print process. Language selection can be set up from here. This system includes a remote control function. In the remote control, you can request an ID that you would give to technical support that can then mirror the screen at their location to help diagnose any issues that you may find or for training purposes. Date and time can be set from this screen here. Any licenses that you have currently will show up here, whether you have a database enabled, whether you've purchased a warranty extension, or whether the reports are exporting. Settings allow you to turn on and off different areas of the software. And configuration is really used for service providers. Also in the menu, you have maintenance functions. In maintenance functions, it allows you to refill the internal bottle. Altitude compensation allows you to calibrate the pressure sensors internal to the machine to account for your altitude. For example, if you're in a high mountain peak, you would have much lower pressure. This allows you to check the vacuum pump condition, the oil condition, and also recondition the oil for maximum life. If you need to replace your vacuum pump oil, this will help reset the counter. The dryer filter replacement, this resets the counter for the internal dryer filter, which is a maintenance item for the unit. The rest are calibration checks for the scales, oil bottles, and there's also a system leak test. If you suspect there may be a leak internal to the unit, this will be able to find it. In special functions, you have a hose drain that recovers any residual refrigerant from the service hoses. Refrigerant analysis for units that have RFID installed in the cabinet, you can manually run the refrigerant analysis from here. Vehicle pressure check, this tests the vehicle AC pressures for before and after service to ensure that they're in the right range. There's also oil flushing, so if you want to switch between oil types, particularly important for switching between PAG and POE oil to service high voltage compressors. This function also runs automatically during processes. And component flushing. This allows you to flush components from the AC system individually with the proper adapter set. If you'd like to get into the vehicle database, vehicle selection at the top of the menu is where you would go. In this particular setup, the database is not active in the licensing, so all the boxes will be red. You can go through, select your vehicle, year, model, make, and this will auto-populate into the service if the vehicle database is active. For vehicle service, let's start with manual. In manual mode, you're able to turn on and off different areas of the process: recovery, vacuum, and charge, so that you can customize your service as you need. For this demonstration, we'll turn everything on to do a full process. On the bottom, you can select whether you want to connect just on LP, not usually recommended, but available, HP, or the high pressure port, or both the high pressure and low pressure port at the same time. It's generally recommended that you select LP-HP for vehicle service. In this button here, you can turn on and off the vehicle pressure check at the end of the service. If this is selected as on, at the end of the service charge process, it will go into a pressure check for the system pressures automatically. You can also select your unit of measure, toggling to different units of measure if you need to, depending on the vehicle that you're connected to. In vacuum, we're going to select a vacuum time of 30 minutes. For the vehicle we're servicing today, the system amount is 1.56 pounds. So we'll select it in this screen here. At this point, I can hit Start, which takes me to my summary screen of how this is set up before I start the service. Starting on YF, it will ask me the vehicle compressor type. I'll select POE for this particular service, and you'll note that an oil flush must be performed before we begin the process. To perform the oil flush, you connect the HP and LP connectors to the back support couplers on the rear of the unit. Once the couplers are open, we'll begin the flush process. Now that the hoses are flushed, we'll want to connect the refrigerant identifier coupler to the vehicle to pull a sample. We can see that analysis was positive. That'll allow us to continue with the service. At this point, we want to connect the LP and the HP connectors to the couplers to the vehicle and hit continue. There we go. So we've connected the vehicle to the air conditioning machine and we've opened the couplers. So now we can continue. Now that the process has started, the rest of the process is fully automatic. It'll go through recovery first, then pull a vacuum, and then charge the car to the proper amount. At this point, we've finished the service. We've pulled all the refrigerant out of the vehicle, we've pulled the vacuum on the vehicle, and we've injected the correct amount back into the vehicle. And now we have to do some tests. So at this point, we need to follow the directions on the screen, put the blower motor on low, turn this AC switch off, and set the distribution to the floor. So we'll do that now. So we've done that, and now we're going to insert our electronic leak detector, set it to high sensitivity, which is the maximum, and then we're going to put this inside of the floor duct outlet to look for any trace amounts of RF that might be in there, which would be indicative of a leak. So we've checked the duct at this point and the result was negative on the sniffer. So we're going to continue with the process here. It's going to ask us if this test was performed. I'm going to say yes. It's going to ask me if there was a leak found. Since I didn't find a leak, I'm going to say no by hitting the X. Now it'll ask me if there's an auxiliary evaporator. On this car we don't have one, so I'm going to say no, and it'll finish the process from this point on. For the YF process, it will inject 15% of the max fill and then remove that amount and then inject the full amount so you have an accurate result at the end. So now the machine's going to pull the refrigerant back in from the vehicle and charge the full amount. Once we finish the process, because I selected the system pressure check, we can now check the system pressures to make sure they're in the proper range. The first thing we do is turn the AC compressor on. So we've turned the compressor on in the car so we can check the vehicle system pressures. So it'll continue to this screen. And here, this shows you the proper ranges for each the low pressure side and the high pressure side in the car that you can verify using the manual gauges on the front of the unit. In some models, this will show the actual results digitally as well. Here we can see that the system is in the correct ranges for pressure, so we can stop the process now and end the procedure. At this point, I'll disconnect the couplers and that'll complete the service and the test. So the couplers are closed and now disconnected. We'll let this continue and finish emptying the hoses, and then it will present the summary screen for the service. The procedure is now complete. Once it completes, you get a summary of what happened during the charge cycles, and you can print from here as well. Here you can put in owner information, mileage, plate, etc. And you get your final report here that shows the date of operation, the analysis, how much was recovered, how much oil was recovered, how much the vacuum time happened, and what your vacuum pressure was during the service. With this icon here, you can print to a network printer using Nexus Print, or in the settings under Account, Shop Account, if you have your email set up, you can email yourself this report as well. This completes the process of performing a 1234 YF service on a vehicle. For more information, please contact us at the link below.